So recently I watched a movie that was an adaptation of this young adult novel that I read many years ago by one of my favorite authors named John Green. And in the book, there was a part that stood out to me the most that I didn't realize back when I read it those years ago what it really meant until now. And being on this new journey that I'm on and that we're all on, I think there's an important lesson that the book taught that I wanted to share with you guys. So there's a part of the book, it's about in the middle, towards the end, where they tell a story about this scientist who's given a presentation, and he's pretty much explaining about how the earth was formed and that it was hot, and then once it cooled off, oceans began to form, and then from the oceans single cell organisms started to come about, and then humans, and yada yada yada. So he's given pretty much the history of the earth and all the life forms on it and how everything came to be. So this older lady who's in the audience watching his presentation, she says at the end when he asks if anybody has any questions, she says, well, the truth is the earth is flat and it rests on the back of a turtle. So the scientist, thinking that this just sounds crazy, just as anybody else would, he then humors her and asks her, well, then what is the turtle sitting on? And she says, another turtle, the back of another turtle. So the earth is flat, it's sitting on the back of a turtle, and that turtle is standing on the back of another turtle. And then now he's, like, okay, so then what's that turtle standing on? And she says, you don't understand. It's turtles all the way down. The reason why this is important to the story is because the main character deals with obsessive compulsive disorder, and she finds herself constantly stuck in these negative thought spirals. And she used the analogy that those little, I think, Japanese dolls that start off large, and then you open them up and there's another one in there, and then you open them up and you keep opening them up until there's like that one small one that's hard and you can't open that one up. She feels like she doesn't have a hard doll. Like you're going to keep opening it up and it's going to be empty. And so she's constantly searching for why she is this way, or who is she, and what's the bottom line of who she is versus these obsessive compulsive thoughts she's having that feels like they're not her. And she's always just like an alien that's infested by some sort of parasite that's making her do things or think ways that don't feel like are her. And so she constantly feels like she's looking and looking and looking for the bottom line, and not realizing that it's turtles all the way down. And despite that whole thing with the earth being flat and being on the back of a turtle, I think the bigger picture here and how you can apply this to your mental health when you're feeling like you're in a spiral is to remember that even though it contradicts what I said, kind of, in my last video, talking about when you feel like you're at rock bottom, it also still actually aligns with what I said, is because the using the analogy of it being turtles all the way down is letting you know that there is pretty much no rock bottom. There is no end. So if you're going down this rabbit hole in your mind, feeling like you're at rock bottom and things can't get better, you just have to remember that there is no bottom. You really just have to remember it's turtles all the way down, meaning that you can it's only going to be as bad as you let it be. Because you could look at it like, okay, if you want to use the turtles as an example, if you are standing on the back of one of the turtles that she uses in this example, you have a turtle over you and you have a turtle under you. So you're on the bottom of a turtle, but you're also on the top of another turtle. So depending on how you choose to look at it will determine if do you feel like you're on the bottom, or do you going to look at it like you're on the top. And then when you look at that further, if you are on a spiral, when you think about the ways that spirals are built, it's open at the top, and then the further down you go into it, it tightens. And it tightens infinitely. It doesn't close, it just keeps on tightening. But if you look at it like you're coming up a spiral, it also keeps going up and keeps opening infinitely and just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So when you think about your thoughts and the way you look at things and you put it into perspective that way, you just have to make sure you want to be on the right side of the spiral. And you want to look at it like you're standing on the right side of the turtle. You're not underneath the turtle. You're on the top of a turtle. You're always on the top of a turtle. It's turtles all the way down. And there's not going to be this rock bottom that you think you're hitting. Because if you really look at it, rock bottom is honestly, it all depends on who you ask what rock bottom is. I could say that I'm at rock bottom right now, or I felt like I've been at rock bottom, but I have clothes on right now. I'm sitting underneath a roof. There's four walls around me. I have food not only in my stomach, but also in the refrigerator. There's more. I'm talking to you guys on a laptop right now. And even if you want to look at even the smaller things, I'm able to speak to you right now. I'm able to see right now. I'm able to hear myself speak right now. I was able to get the education growing up to even be able to even know the words that I'm talking about and put these thoughts together. To somebody else, though, who isn't able to have access to those things that I was able to have access to, you can look at that as rock bottom. But there's kids who are in impoverished countries right now who don't even have a slither of the things I just said, but they're happy because they're not looking at it like they're at rock bottom. So when you change your thoughts and you change your perspective on things to not allow yourself to go down a spiral and to feel like you just keep on digging yourself deeper in holes and it just keeps getting worse and keeps getting worse, and you look at the upside. Even though I understand that when you're in those tough spots it's not something easy to do, you always have to just, if you're going into a situation, even from here on out after you watch this video, if you feel like okay something bad happened or you're having a bad day or it seems like I can't win today, every time I turn around there's just something bad, if you even though it's going to feel a little funny and it's going to feel a little foolish, if you say it out loud or if you just think in your mind, it's turtles all the way down, it's turtles all the way down, just think about that. Remember you're sitting on the top of a turtle and it's turtles all the way down. So this is just a bad moment. It's not a bad life and you're not a bad person. You just have to remember that when you have those thought spirals where you feel like things are dark and you just can't get out of this negative mind frame that you got. Because sometimes I feel like, and I've been feeling like this lately, a lot of the thoughts that I've been having, they feel like they aren't even mine. And I know that that sounds a little psychotic, but I kind of feel like we all know that we have that little voice in our head. And sometimes it says things that I feel like doesn't align with who you feel like you are or with the thoughts that you typically would have or should have. And even sometimes I even look at my own thoughts and I'm like, why the heck am I thinking that? Or where's that thought coming from? I don't even really feel that way, but it's in my head. I'm saying it. So I feel like when you that can lead into a spiral though. Some people deal with that constantly, and that's why they get diagnosed with certain things like ADD, ADHD, obsessive compulsive disorder. They're not able to turn those thoughts off. I'm grateful enough that I can at least acknowledge that I have those thoughts, think that's a little weird, but that's not me, don't pay that any mind, this too shall pass, whatever I need to tell myself. But I acknowledge that I have those, and if I allowed myself to get caught up in those thoughts, it would be like going down that downward spiral. Or, for instance, searching constantly for the bottom of wherever the last turtle is standing, not realizing that it's turtles all the way down. You're just going to get lost if you keep looking for something that you're not going to find. And so all that's going to do is drive you crazy. So you have to just remember those things when you get lost in your thoughts and when you're in a bad mental spot. Because man, mental health is so serious and it literally comes out of nowhere. Sometimes you can just wake up and like Nothing happened. You literally just woke up. You're not even out the bed yet. Nothing could have happened. And it just doesn't feel like it's your day. It just doesn't feel like you're feeling this day. You're feeling like you want any parts of it. You want anything to do with anything that's outside of your bed. You just want to just stay there and just be blah. But even in those moments, you just don't want to allow yourself to get caught in those spirals and then keep keep having the spiral tightening on you the deeper and deeper you go. And then you're just gonna have a harder time also climbing back up the spiral. But even when you do climb up out the spiral, it's not gonna feel constricting. You know what I mean? It's gonna make you feel like I can breathe again. So whenever you're having a bad mental space, whenever you're having a bad day, whenever you're getting lost in your thoughts and you're letting your thoughts overtake you, and you feel like I'm so far gone, how am I ever going to possibly get back to being in a healthy mental space and in a spot where I feel happy again and I feel even at peace or ease? Just remember, it's turtles all the way down.